Hello, my name is Monica Martin, and I'm going to be doing a presentation on my article that I will be submitting for possible publication, well, hopeful publication. My article was on a welcome orientation and having a more effective patient transition. That was my evidence-based implementation proposal that I had derived. So I had created an article to mimic my project. In the beginning of my article, I did create an abstract. The abstract had the problem. It identified there was a lack of knowledge by patients, and then there was an intervention, which was a welcome booklet that was created by myself. The welcome booklet was also part of a quality assurance performance improvement committee, where we all got everyone's interdisciplinary team's input and put it into a welcome booklet. The booklet was basically giving information about who the managers were in the facility, who the department heads were, who the interdisciplinary team was. It talked about doctors, local hospitals. It talked about what happens in our skilled nursing facility. It talked about rehab, meal times, visitors, basic information about skilled nursing facilities that most people do not know about. So we created this welcome booklet. It was a PowerPoint, it was in color, and we handed it out to one side of the rehab department, or one side of the rehab unit. And that rehab unit, all of the patients received a copy of this informational booklet. Then 24 to 48 hours later, we went back and took a Likert type tool and assessed their knowledge base and data from the patient and their experience to see if there was anything different we could do before we took this welcome orientation booklet and rolled it out throughout the whole building. So we came to the conclusion that the information and the knowledge that we were providing with them was adequate. And we did go and print out copies of the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint was then laminated and copies were hung in each patient's room. This was for infection control processes where they wanted to make sure that the copies stayed in the patient's room on their bulletin board. So when they came in, they were handed it, welcome to the facility, and then they could leave that behind. It could be disinfected and cleaned and left back where it was in the room. It was cost consuming to keep printing out colored copies of welcome orientation PowerPoints. So we decided to do that one time and keep them in the rooms. And then at the end of my abstract, I talked about the implications on providing additional education to the rehab patients and how that was resulted in a more effective patient transition into the skilled nursing facilities. But like I said in my article, I don't need to put an abstract, but I did include one in for the purposes of the class. So that will not be submitted with my article to McKnight and Provider Magazine. In the skilled nursing arena and through these magazines, they want basic information, 700 to 1,000 words. So when I got into actually writing my article, I did section by section so that, in fact, when I do submit, I don't have to, I can eliminate some of the sections for Provider Magazine, who only requires to have a 700-word article for publication, anything over 700, and then what they'll do is they would end up rejecting the article. I had to be kind of careful as to keeping it so that certain sections could be eliminated for the process of submission. So in the beginning of my article, I talked about the background, and it talked about the skilled nursing setting and how patients come from the hospital and they come to the skilled nursing setting, and they really have no knowledge of what they're about to embark on. A lot of patients' family members have never seen the inside of a skilled nursing facility, and they have no idea what it's going to be like in comparison to a hospital setting. So we have the rehab section patients and long-term care patients. And we predominantly wanted to make sure that the patients that were addressed were the short-term care residents or the rehabilitation patients, just so they had a basic knowledge and understanding of what was going to happen while they were here. So in the article, it talked about the challenges, making sure that complaints that were related to customer service and how they get resolved to social workers and directors of nurses and supervisors. Those are the challenges. And the booklet is supposed to be used to eliminate some of those challenges. Again, a good example would be clothing and how patients are, I'm missing something. I want to fill out a complaint. Well, no, you're not missing anything. All of your clothing has been sent down to the laundry for the next 24 to 48 hours to be labeled. And that's just time consuming, and it looks really bad when a patient's complaining that they've already missing something and they've only been in the building for less than 24 hours. So those are some of the challenges that we wanted to address, just basic needs of the patient, things that we take for granted because we're in the environment and we understand what's going on, and they have no idea. So in the article that I wrote, there was a section in there that had talked about the challenges and why we created the welcome booklet. The purpose, that was another section that was written. It was, what was the purpose of this? Why did I create this? Well, patients lack knowledge. Because of that, their patient care experience is poor, and they have what they think is poor customer service because they don't understand what's going on and the whys behind certain things. So we wanted to give the patient more knowledge to understand what they're going through and feel more in control of their patient-centered care outcomes. A lot of us come into a skilled nursing facility or a hospital. We want to know what is going on and the whys and feel like we have control, not like somebody's telling us what to do and we can't make any decisions about our care. You know, that's one of our residents' rights. We have the right to be informed of care. We have the right to say yes or no to things. So the more knowledge that you give them in the beginning, the more they feel as though they have rights. So the purpose was to provide a greater customer service experience, but ultimately it's all about the patient and the patient-centered care outcomes. So the implementations of this, it talked about what we did, the quality assurance team. We got permission to obtain information from patients through the customer service committee and create this project for the facility. And it talked about all the legal aspects of it and what we did in order for that to happen. And then we talked about the intervention, which is basically putting the welcome booklet out to the patients and why we did it. We discussed making sure that when we put the booklet out, we used all the information that we gathered from the assessment data tool before we decided to make sure that it was distributed through the building. I wanted to make sure that all the data that we collected was utilized, kind of like the Plan, Do, Study, Act model in the quality assurance performance improvement process. You know, plan what we're going to do, act on it, and then implement based on the information that you get. You just can't decide without getting all the knowledge from the patients and the assessments and the frontline staff how you're going to do a project or do a certain task in a building. You need everybody's input on it and all the data before you roll it out into the facility. So that section talked about the intervention and what we did and the why. And then we talked about the outcome of the welcome booklet. It did increase customer service scores. You know, our Press Ganey scores did increase. The outcomes did show that we had better customer service outcomes. Well, yeah, because you gave everybody a little bit more attention when they first came in, so they felt a little bit more individualized and special. It did increase the customer service. It increased patient safety. So when patients knew that they should not be in bed, in a low bed without a floor mat next to them, they knew to call for their staff member, and could you put the mat down at the side of the bed? You know, so we had reduced amounts of falls, we had reduced amounts of rehospitalizations because of decreased medication errors. Well, the medication information was obtained from the welcome orientation booklet, and patient was informed to let us know if in fact there was any medications that were missed from home to the skilled nursing setting. So we decreased our hospitalization rate and decreased our medication error rate. We also increased our quality care outcomes. We had less individuals with decreased mobility because they knew what they had to do in rehab. They knew they had to get up and start moving like to do at the hospital in orthopedic setting before they go in for a hip or knee. They go through an orientation to know what to expect during the time when they go in for the surgery. It was the same similar situation where we gave them an orientation and what to expect based on their individual plan of care. And based on that, the quality care outcomes were better. Customer service was better, but so was their quality care outcomes. So that was my article. It will be submitted to McKnight's and Provider Magazine, and hopefully one of the two magazines will choose me for publication. I would like to have everybody in a skilled nursing setting feel that they are going to orient their patient like the hospital does in the different areas so that they feel like they are more in control of their patient-centered care outcomes. So I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and I look forward to working with you guys and hearing your critiquing of my presentation. Thank you.